tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord, because a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Amen to that.
So we have in this Western in our Western mindset, we have this idea that we come to Jesus, everything's going to be fine.
Of course.
It's a rose garden.
No difficulty.
Jesus takes away the pain. Why am I going through this? I'm a child of the King. And
talk to the Apostle Paul about that. Shipwrecked, beaten.
Exactly.
I mean, hello. Talk about trials.
Well, nobody wants to talk about trials unless it's at the pity party that they've invited you to come to.
How sad is that?
And I talked about that in church. One time I said that the funny thing about pity parties is that nobody likes to come to them, even though you send out invitations, but the only one who really likes to come is us. And nobody understands that pity party. Well, I shouldn't say nobody understands, but people, when you're going through something, it's hard to understand the trap of pity and sympathy.
It's all pride.
Why am I going through this? You see. But see, James, I like the way James says this. James says it, count it all joy. And some of you are tired of counting because you're on number 5,258.
We know that.
And it's enough already. But counting it all joy is crucial. What it means to count all joy, I've got a definition of counting. In the Greek, hegomai is the word for count it all joy, is consider, to deem, to reckon, to evaluate, or to judge. Therefore, the phrase does not describe a forced or flippant emotional reaction. A forced or flippant emotional reaction. In other words, you're not grinning and bearing it type of a thing. It's not something you're forced into, or a reaction. What's your reaction to trials? What is our reaction to trials?
I think it depends on the trial with most people, how hard it is. You have easy trials and you have very difficult trials.
Yeah, but I mean, all of us, if we're really honest with ourselves and with each other, we can honestly say that our reactions have not always been godly to the trials.
Sure.
I took fencing in college, and it was the biggest trial of my life to be on that fencing team. Some of you think I was putting up fences. No, fencing is you get to battle with a sword, a foil. And the interesting thing about fencing that I was able to take into ministry and into understanding the onslaught of the enemy on my soul, trials and tribulations, is that there's a rule in fencing that says if you are attacked by your opponent begins to hit his sword into you or begins to lunge toward you, he has made the initial attack. If out of response you just lunge in and attack react to the attack. You're not really initiating an attack, you're reacting to the attack. That no matter what target I hit, it was not considered a legal point. And even if I hit you first, it was not considered a legal point. I had to parry or counterattack. Mm-hmm. Do something to counter his first attack and then go in with an attack. And see, this is what we need to do with trials and tribulations. We need to, instead of reacting to what is knocking on the door. Philip's translation to count it all joy says, welcome them in as friends.
Because it builds the character of Christ.
Well,
he was known as a man of sorrows.
Yeah. We think that we shouldn't go through anything, but look at Jesus.
Well, Jesus went through it since the day he was born. I mean, they called him some choice words growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, sure he was not said, oh, look at him, he's the Son of God. Everyone doubted who he is, and it was very sad, his life. It was a very, but if he went through it, why shouldn't we? It says that we're joint heirs in his resurrection and in his suffering.
Joint heirs.
That's right.
Yeah. See, we want the resurrection part, but we don't want the